we're discussing, it's still in chapter 5, what gets in the way of being vigilant. And we said the first one was too much concern with worldly matters. And the second one was being a mocker, being a late son, somebody mocks. Because both these things prevent you from paying attention to your deeds and doing what you're meant to do. So we go on to the third of the factors. Unlike what we just did to Robert. But with Robert, it's needed. So the third factor we're saying is evil company. That is the company of fools and sinners. So as he says, as the verse states in Mishnah and Proverbs, but he who consorts with dullards comes to grief. So if you're going to be with now we often see that even after a person has truly understood his obligation to divine service and the need for vigilance, he may become lax or violate some aspect of it in order to avoid being mocked by his companions. Also, that he may associate freely with them. This is what Shlomo warned about when he said, do not mingle with them who are different. Again, from Proverbs, if someone says to you, a person's disposition towards people should always be congenial, you can apply that this applies to people who act like people, but not those who act like animals. So it's quite a statement. We always say you must have a pleasant disposition. Let's greet all people with a smile. And he's saying, sometimes it pays to rather just ignore people, to not necessarily greet them with a smile, to not necessarily be pleasant. If they're the kind of people that are going to drag you down and you're going to sin just so that you're in with them, rather than associate with them. Don't be nice to them. Don't be rude, but you don't have to have anything to do with them. You don't have to be friends with everyone. You're welcome to walk away from people that are going to drag you down. So it's the kind of people, as he says, that you're going to end up having to do wrong to be able to associate with them. That those people rather just don't associate with, don't be part of. There's no requirement for you to be congenial towards them. Shlomo further warned, go from the presence of a foolish man. Once again, don't be with them. If the person is going to continuously sin and going to continuously do wrong, rather just walk away. Don't get drawn into what they're doing. And David HaMelech, King David said, happy is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of scorners. This is the very first song, Psalm 1.1. And our sages, may their memory be blessed, commented on this. If he walked, he will eventually stand. And if he stood, he will eventually sit. What does it mean by that? It means that if you associate with people and you, for a short period of time initially, you sit and you listen to them and say, no, I just want to hear the kinds of thing they're saying, so then I can walk away. Then you end up staying for longer. Instead of just walking with them, you end up standing with them. And as you become more comfortable with it, you come to sit down and to discuss things further. And once you sitting down and discussing it, you become like one of them. So don't even walk with them. Just turn away, walk away. Don't be part of that. It's as we see in Pekavot when he says, what are the worst things a man could do? The person is to have evil companions. Exactly. So don't argue with the fool because people may not be able to tell the difference. It's that whole thing. Don't associate with people that are foolish. They're going to drag you down to their level. They say sometimes you see people who are top sportsmen playing a sport and they're not doing that well. So why is this game so boring? Why is it such a say? Because you can only play to the level of the person you're going against. The person you're going against can't play. You can't have an exciting game. It's the same thing here. You'll get dragged down to the level of the people you associate with. As scripture states, I've not sat with vain persons, neither do I enter the company of the dissemblers. I detest the company of evil men, and I do not sit with the wicked. Once again, King David in Tehillim, Psalm 26, verses 4 to 5. A man has but to purify and cleanse himself and keep his feet from the paths of the multitude who are immersed in temporal vanities, turning to God's courts and dwellings. This is the sense of what David himself says in conclusion. I wash my hands in innocence and I compass your altar, O Lord. This is from Psalm 26. As he's saying, I'm able to wash my hands in innocence because I did not associate with the Leitanim, I did not associate with the foolish. I kept away from the evil companions. If a person happens to find himself in the company of those who mock him, he should not pay attention to the ridicule. On the contrary, he should ridicule his mockers and put them to shame. He should consider the following. If he had the opportunity to make a large monetary profit in an enterprise his fellows mocked, would he forgo the means necessary to accomplish merely to avoid their mockery? Our sages, may their memory be blessed, exhorted us about this. Be fierce as a leopard to do the will of your Father who is in heaven. And David said, I'll speak to your testimonies before kings and will not be ashamed. This is the basis, an underlying thing here that when you're doing the work of Hashem, you should see the underlying value. That it's got far more powerful, far greater value than money. Now, the people who bought Bitcoins, when everybody said, oh, it's a joke, it's going to be stopped at 30 cents a Bitcoin and can now sell them for $12,000 a Bitcoin, can laugh at the people who mock them. It's the same thing here. We might not see the value of what our deeds in this world, that people are going to mock us for it. But the true value we'll realize later, and then we can see. And just as we with the monetary transactions we know is going to succeed, we'll ignore the mockers, so we should do the same with the spiritual transactions. Or ignore those who would mock us for it. The Terakata are a fringe sect that's been put in Chayrim. They're outside of the community where they belong. You don't need to pay more attention to them than that. That's beyond end all of Neterekata. A group of under 1,000 people worldwide that have been kicked out of the Jewish community, do not belong in the Jewish community, and go have the fun in Iran with the Ayatollah Khomeini, or whatever his name is nowadays, with the non-Jews, because they're really not part of the Jewish community. Of course they are. That's a name of the highest order. They misrepresent Judaism in order to advance their name. The rejects of Judaism is one way of putting it. But they misrepresent Judaism in the Talmud to push a political stance. They've got no space in the community. Satmar, who are not great fans of the state of Israel, were the first to put them into Chayrim. You know that? Satmar, who refused to recognize the state of Israel, were the first people to put Neterekait into Chayrim. And why? Because they were worried that people would confuse them with them. They said, as much as we do not support the state, we support fellow Jews. How dare you go and speak out against fellow Jews? How dare you go and associate with those that would denigrate the Holocaust? They were the first one to Chayrim, because whether or not they agree with the state of Israel does not give you license to go against the Jewish people as a whole. So even those who don't agree with the state of Israel, they're the ones who are biggest to disassociate from Neterekata, because they don't want to be confused. Satmar, they may not agree with the state of Israel, but they still see themselves as part of the Jewish community, and they support the Jewish community, and they support the Jewish community in Israel. You've got Satmar Hasidim in Israel. They're not going to associate with those that will look to destroy it. There's the thing is they've got a guy called they've got their own way of looking at things. It's rejected by most of us that there's a group within Judaism that rejects the state of Israel. We've got the fact that they don't want to serve in the army because they don't say it's legitimate. That's the one thing. The bigger Haredi population which rejects going to the army is not because it disagrees with the state of Israel. We actually got quite a strong Haredi community which supports the state of Israel. The reason they reject it is because they feel that it's immodest and Israel doesn't give people a chance to observe the laws of modesty and to behave the ways they should. So this is the army. So this is why they started the Yeshiva Hester program, where the religious schools that go into the army only get female instructors and then all female units to avoid that. And they can spend, and they do 2 years service, so 3 and 1 years in the yeshiva. So the army is now making accommodations, and suddenly you've got a lot more Haredim going to the army. And you also get those who, instead of going to the army, will go serve in hospitals or serve with the police and other things. So it's not. So you get some Haredim that are not against the state, against the way the army is run and the way people behave within the army. They're saying, if you can avoid that, we can come, or give us alternatives. And they're making use of those alternatives. The amount of the Haredim refusing to go to the army is minimal compared to the number of Haredim that do go to the army. Far more do go. But that doesn't make headlines because that doesn't suit them. Unfortunately, a lot of Israeli press is very left-wing and very anti-Haredim. It's just the way it is. It's a democratic state.
Run by the Guptas.
Well, the Gupta equivalent. But it's a democratic state. People want their opinion. That's their opinion. And there's also other newspapers. There's other newspapers like Arut Sheva and all of that, which take the Orthodox side. But that's what it is. Anyway, let's continue. Most kings are preoccupied with and speak of the grand exploits and delights, and it might at first glance have seemed an embarrassment for David, a fellow king, to speak in the company of ethics and Torah instead of great feats and human pleasures as they did. So most kings boast about, I've got the biggest house, I've got the most money, I've got the largest army. King David boasts about, I've done the most mitzvot, I've written the most tehillim, I get up at midnight every day. I only sleep for a few hours, I can get up at midnight to study for the rest of the night. And so it would have been a lot of pressure from his fellow kings to be like them. That's the company he always had to be in as a king. Instead, he put them aside. He says, if you do find yourself in their companies, ignore what they say. Still do what is right. But David was not in the least concerned about that. Having already arrived at the truth, his heart was not seduced by such vanities. Rather, he stated explicitly, I will speak of your testimonies before kings and will not be ashamed. And Yeshayahu also said, therefore I have set my face like a flint, and I know I shall not be ashamed. So you can see, so if you look back, we finished with the trait of vigilance. What do we say vigilance is? Vigilance is keeping track of what we do, of taking note of our actions, of being aware of what we do. And the recommended how we do it is that every night we should take time out to investigate our actions, to look at what we did and say, what was right, what was wrong, how can I improve from here? And so then to associate with people that behave in the right way and to find a mentor, somebody who lives this, somebody who embodies these elements and to learn from them. He says that is what it is. He says, how do we acquire it? He says, we acquire it if you Talmud Chacham, we acquire it by remembering that all of these, the aim of the mitzvot is to bring us closer to God. The aim of the mitzvot is to weld us to God, and in order for us to achieve that ultimate high of our nefesh, that when we go of our neshama, when we ultimately die, our neshama goes to move to cling to Hashem, it is based on how well we took care in this world. It says, and for the people who Banyonim, people in betweeners, the way for them to acquire it was to say, consider the punishments, consider the rewards, remind them of this, that they can come. Because for them it's not clinging to Hashem, for them it's more immediate. How does it affect me? To remind them of this, that they come to do the mitzvot. Maybe doing the mitzvot, keeping in mind of reward and punishment, it's not the best way. It's not. Because it's also about me, not just about God. But for the Banyonim, the in-betweeners, it's a good way for them to acquire this faith, to be vigilant. And for the evil ones, as the people who don't want to do it, is to prey on their vanity, to prey on their sense of jealousy, and to say, are you really prepared to be the lowest of the low in the world to come? You're not prepared to be that in this world. In the world to come, do you want to be there? So he gives ways for each person regarding their level, how to acquire this trait. And then lastly, he said, what prevents me from getting it? There's the three elements in this chapter. One was, the first of them was, I'm too preoccupied with what's happening in my life. I'm too preoccupied with earning a living, going and having fun, with my worldly preoccupations. When I've got that, then I lose track of what I should be doing in the Torah. The second one he says was, if you're a mocker or you associate with mockers, you come that if you're a mocker and somebody comes to rebuke you, you're just going to mock. If you cannot take criticism without mocking, if you cannot look at yourself without mocking, you cannot acquire alacrity, prevent you because you cannot find your faults. You're too quick to mock and to make fun of others. And the last one, the one we just completed, was if you associate with evil companions, then you come to do as they do to keep you away. It makes the evil sin, the evil makes us doing wrong appear right. Because that's what everybody does. And that's where you complain with, that's who you continuously with, that's where you're going to end up. This is rather understand that even if you end up in their company, be like King David, who, unlike his fellow kings, do not boast about armies, do not boast about his wealth, but boasted about that was ready to go and dance in front of the Aron Kodesh. That the daughter of King Saul could say to him, is that the way a king ought to behave? So his response was, yes. So I'm dancing before the King of Kings. Even if we find ourselves in that kind of company, we cannot avoid it. The thing to do is to avoid it. So that was the first of the praise, the trade of vigilance. What's the second one? The second is alacrity, to do things quickly. As we see in the first thing of Shulchan Aruch, to get up in the morning like a lion, not to wait, not to hit the snooze button. We should get up and do things. We should be ready to do it. As he says here, after vigilance comes alacrity. This is because vigilance pertains to the negative commandments, whereas alacrity pertains to the positive, as implied by the saying, Sur me'ra v'asei tov, depart from evil and do good. So what he's saying is vigilance is about making sure we stay away from what is bad. Alacrity is about making sure we move towards what is good. So I want to be vigilant so I don't do bad, but I can also want to be vigilant to make sure I do good. The main thing is to stay away from bad. Alacrity is I want to make sure I rush to do what is good. The significance of alacrity is clear. It refers to promptness in the performance of the mitzvot, as well as seeing them through to completion. So when I have a mitzvah, I must do it. Mustn't find excuses not to complete it. The sages, Zichron Livrocha, said, the zealous perform mitzvot at the earliest possible opportunity. This is brought to Pesachim 4a. So you find, what's a good example of this? Friday night Kiddush. We say the blessing on wine. We pass around cups of grape juice. Which cup do you drink? No. So that's a person drinking it. But now I do it, I take it, I pour from my becher in others, I'm passing it out. So I'm now passing the little glasses around the cup. Which one do you drink? Are you polite and pass it on? No. You drink the first one and you pass the second one. You fulfill the mitzvah. You've said the bracha, you fulfill the mitzvah as soon as possible. An interesting one, which not many people are aware of, when it comes to Friday night candles. Normally when we say bracha, what do we do? No, but when we say normal bracha, we do the action, then we do the bracha. Okay? We do the bracha and then the action. And you wash hands, what do you do?
The bracha.
Do the washing of the hands with the bracha.
When you put on your when you put on your sit, put your sit, then say the bracha. So normally we say is as soon okay, so normally what we do is we say that it's bracha and then we immediately do the action. Immediately. Now on Friday night candles, you've got to
when you're washing your hands.
Washing your hands is
your bracha while you're drying.
Yes. So washing the hands is during. It's a bit of a different one.
Yeah.
Normally we'd say the bracha and then we do the action. We say I'll pray prayer 8 and we bite into our apple. We say Allah Geffen and we drink the wine. But what happens on Friday night with a woman? She can't say the bracha and then light the candles. Because for a woman, Shabbat starts when she lights the candles. Which is why they cover their eyes, that they don't have any benefit from the candles until they open the eyes after they say the bracha. When does a man say the bracha to light the candle? When does a man light the candles? If he's lighting? After the bracha. Because a man does not start Shabbos with the bracha. A man starts Shabbos either at the time or with Baruch Hu in Shul. It's a different, he doesn't start. So man actually, when he lights Friday night candles, if he's divorced and he's home by himself, or he's on holiday and he's writing for himself, a man says the brocha, and then, if he's never been married, he says the brocha and then he lights candles, not like a woman. Because generally, and we perform the mitzvah as soon as we can. But now, this explains why on a Friday night, when we wash hands, we don't speak until. Why? Why not speak between? We've said the brocha on our hands. Why not speak when we have before we eat the bread? It's part of the meal. We can't eat without it. And we cannot interrupt the blessing with anything. And speech would interrupt it. So immediately we do it, we should as soon as possible. So what you often find is that my custom is that if I'm going to be the one saying Hamotzi, I will thus lost. Everybody vasses before me. I will thus lost. Why? That there's a minimum amount of time between the person who's saying the blessings having that period. Reduce it as much as possible. Because you must do a mitzvah as fast as possible. And it says for the same reason, if you're in the middle of performing a mitzvah, you do not stop doing that mitzvah to do another mitzvah. You finish the one you started. Even if the one you started is common, and the other one is rare. Or the one you started is minor, and the other one is major. You finish planting the tree. You do not stop one mitzvah. You go running up to confirm the Mashiach after you finish doing the mitzvah.
Get them to offer him a cup of coffee.
Ask him if he'd like to help you plant the tree. You perform a mitzvah as fast as possible. You do not delay. And that's what he says here. It brings up this like him. You perform it at the earliest possible opportunity. Which is why many people, you'll find in some communities, shachrit is done at nights. Shachrit is done at sunrise. The earliest possible opportunity. As soon as you can, you do it. That is just as required, so as he continues here, that is just as required great astuteness and attentiveness to avoid the snares of the Yetzer and escape even all those that hold over us to intrude upon our deeds. So it requires great astuteness and attentiveness to take hold of the mitzvot and make them ours so they're not lost to us. Because you can, if you delay in performing a mitzvah, maybe you'll lose the opportunity. Maybe you lose the opportunity. Something happens, prevents you from doing it. So you must do a mitzvah as soon as it comes to hand, because that's when you do it. And if you want to take teshuvah, it's a famous one of doing teshuvah. When you do teshuvah, as soon as you understand that you've done something wrong. Waiting for Yom Kippur is wrong. Yom Kippur is the last opportunity, not the first.
You should have alacrity as soon after Yom Kippur as you could.
No, alacrity requires two mitzvot.
Let's say I say something bad about somebody. I say it in front of him.
Yeah.
Then I say after that, sure, but you'll never take it back because you said the words.
So you said it in front of him.
Yes.
He's the one that's got to forgive you. But that's up to him. In case I forgive you or not. No, so as Rambam says, you are required to ask the person for forgiveness. If he says no, wait a while. Give him a chance to cool down. Then ask him again. If he still says no, give him even longer. Give him more time. Then ask again. Because if he still says no, you're no longer obligated to, as long as each time was genuine. As long as you had made restitution, and each time was genuine, after that you're not obligated to ask anymore. You can if you want to, you're not obligated. No. But it's not, you're no longer, he's now up to him to look at his actions. He might feel very badly hurt. He might say, there is no way for me to forgive you on this. Maybe you caused him to, maybe you caused somebody to lose their job. He's got no panasa, he lost his house. That's quite a big thing to ask somebody to forgive. He may not be willing to forgive. So he might not be willing to forgive. Now, most of us are not going to do that bad to somebody. But you can understand the situation that the person's going to say, listen, I'm not interested in hearing. Give me back my job in a new house and sort out all my debt and get me back the family I've lost. Then come talk to me.
What's that? Is it to make reparations for the damage you caused.
There may not be a way to do it. If you cause somebody to lose their family, really, how are you going to make reparations? You can't. So, yes, hopefully the person's got a big enough heart to say you forgive him. Maybe he doesn't feel it, but at least he's prepared to say it. And that is great to his merit. But that's it. And the thing is that we should, but over here, for the purpose of what we said, Mesilat Yesharim, for alacrity, is that we should be looking at, number one, should be vigilant to realize we've done something wrong, and immediately go to do something. They're saying alacrity here, in the terms he's giving it here, is about doing the right thing. It's about doing the mitzvot. It's not so the mitzvah of going and apologizing to somebody, of doing teshuvah, is a very big thing. It's a very big one.
On that happy note,
Okay. Right. So let's just wrap off this little bit here, because it is 7. For just as a yeser contrives and strives to stretch and cast man into the net of sin, so does it attempt to prevent him from performing mitzvot, not leaving him devoid of them. If one is lazy and listless and does not muster strength to pursue and hold on to the mitzvot, will certainly remain shaken out and empty of them. They're saying if we don't get up and do the mitzvot when we can always find an excuse not to do that. And then we end up delaying until we lose the opportunity. We will continue with the trail of alacrity next week. Thank you all for coming.